Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Mind Shifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce. I'm Jeannie Ryce, your co-host. We also have co-hosts Dr. Tim Hayes and Michelle Bechet. We will share with you the wisdom of the first century Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. We offer tools and support 5 days a week. We will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love, in Aramaic, Rachna. Michael is the author of the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information about the forgiveness process, please visit www.whyagain.org. And now, welcome to the show, Mind Shifters Radio.
Hello and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm your host for the first hour, and today is Thursday, March 18th, 2021. As always, we're grateful to everyone who's listening today, whether you're listening live or listening through the archives. As we spend another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in using some of the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever encountered in my over 46 years of living life and doing therapy. These tools are gratefully available absolutely free at whyagain.org. If you go to that website and click on the red and white bullseye or the link in the upper left-hand corner of most pages that says Start Here, it will take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Ryce's book. His book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And that particular chapter of that book is a narrative description of the primary tool in this work. That tool is called the Reality Management Worksheet, sometimes called the Reality Management Wake-Up Sheet. And it's a tool I've been using to great effect in my life for over 16 years to improve the quality of my life, manage my emotions, and turn any negative emotion into an infallible guidance system or part of my infallible guidance system. And we encourage people to go there and read that chapter of that book, and then you can also click on a link that lets you download the actual worksheet process itself. It's a simple PDF file download. Print it off, copy it, and use it as often as you'd like. You can also go to your app store and type in the three words Heartland Aramaic, ARAMAIC, forgiveness. And as you finish typing the word forgiveness or begin typing that word, you'll see the glowing heart icon. If you tap on that, it will give you access to a completely free and private app. It contains the Reality Management Worksheet, an abbreviated version of that worksheet process, and a copy of the Dragon Klingon game, which is a wonderful way to introduce these tools to even younger audiences. And we encourage people to do that soon and often, because when they do, it most likely will generate some questions. And then we're here 2 hours, 5 days a week to answer those questions. Or you can email us. Email Jeannie at JEANIE@whyagain.org. Or you can email me at TJH@mindshifters-academy.org. And we will do our best to entertain those questions, talk about them on the show. If you're not able to be here live on the show, they'll be available in the archives after the show. So, that's what we're encouraging people to do and why we're here. And we're also making good so far on the commitment this year to do the Course in Miracles lessons from the workbook of the Course in Miracles. And since today is the 77th day of the year, there's a lesson about miracles from the Course in Miracles. Shouldn't surprise anybody. Sooner or later, the Course in Miracles would begin talking about something related to the title of the book. And today's lesson simply reads, I am entitled to miracles. Many of us in this culture are not raised to think that way or believe that, and yet we are assured in this work that we are entitled to miracles. The commentary reads, you are entitled to miracles because of what you are. Not who you are, and not something special you've done to earn them, and not if you fill out all of the requirements. You are entitled to miracles because of what you are. It goes on to say, you will receive miracles because of what the Creator is. And you will offer miracles because you are one with all of creation. Again, how simple is salvation? It is merely a statement of your true identity. It is this that we will celebrate today. Your claim to miracles does not lie in your illusions about yourself. It does not depend on any magical powers you have ascribed to yourself, nor on any of the rituals you have devised. Your claim to miracles is inherent in the truth of what you are. It is implicit in what the Creator is. It is ensured in your very creation and guaranteed by the laws of creation. Today we will claim the miracles which are your right, since they belong to you. You have been promised full release from the world you made. You have been assured that the kingdom of all creation is within you and can never be lost. We ask no more than what belongs to us in truth. Today, however, we will also make sure that we will not content ourselves with any less. Begin the longer practice periods by telling yourself quite confidently that you are entitled to miracles. Closing your eyes, remind yourself that you are asking only for what is rightfully yours. Remind yourself also that miracles are never taken from one and given to another, and that in asking for your rights, you are upholding the rights of everyone. Miracles do not obey the laws of this world. They merely follow from the laws of creation. After this brief introductory phase, wait quietly for the assurance that your request is granted. You have asked for the salvation of the world and for your own. You have requested that you be given the means by which this is accomplished. You cannot fail to be assured in this. You are but asking that the will of God be done. In doing this, you do not really ask for anything. You state a fact that cannot be denied. The Holy Spirit cannot but assure you that your request is granted. The fact that you accepted it must be so. There is no room for doubt and uncertainty today. We are asking a real question at last. The answer is a simple statement of a simple fact. You will receive the assurance that you seek. Our shorter practice periods will be frequent and will also be devoted to a reminder of the simple fact. Tell yourself this often today. I am entitled to miracles. Ask for them whenever a situation arises in which they are called for. You will recognize these situations, and since you are not relying on yourself to find the miracle, you are fully entitled to receive it whenever you ask. Remember also not to be satisfied with less than the perfect answer. Be quick to tell yourself, should you be tempted, I will not trade miracles for grievances. I want only what belongs to me. God has established miracles as my right. Now, as I read this, as I become tuned into this lesson, I think about all the people who will ask for a miracle and have an idea in their mind about what that miracle needs to look like and how it should unfold. And I am prompted to say, drop that. Cancel any goal, any desire you have for the miracle to unfold in the way that your mind tells you. Because your mind cannot understand the complexities of creation. Our minds as people cannot even begin to understand the complexities of our world. And the one mind, we're part of it. We get access to its wisdom when we ask. But one of the keys to allowing miracles to unfold in my life is for me to understand that what my thought tells me about how the miracle should unfold is nothing compared to the flow of creation as it unfolds. So, if I take this to the next level and I bring in a work like Byron Katie's work and I say, I can know that what's happening right now is an answer to my request for a miracle because it is happening. And I may not be able to see how this is a request or an answer to my request for a miracle, and yet it is. And if I just accept that life as it unfolds is the miracle, and I cancel what my mind wants to tell me about how this is bad or wrong as it's unfolding, I will be shown in the fullness of time as I perceive it, miracles upon miracles unfolding in my life. Essentially what's happening is, when that happens, I get my, Emerson would say, my bloated nothingness out of the way. I get my conscious logical thought constructions out of the way. And I understand the magic of life, the miracle of life unfolding in, through, as, and around me is always happening. And any time I'm not seeing it, it's because I'm blocking my ability to have true perception in that moment. So Pam Grout's book, Course in Miracles Experiment, Chapter 77, is titled, Reality is a Mental Construct. Make yours joyful. She quotes Buckminster Fuller as saying, we are fully imprisoned by the terms in which we have been conducted to think. We are powerfully imprisoned by the terms in which we have been conducted to think. Buckminster Fuller. Pam writes, when you were born, you were powerfully connected to a rich, deep world, a world of magic and enchantment. You could do anything. But then your parents got a hold of you. And they told you things like, it's wrong to speak your mind. It's crazy to talk to angels. It's ridiculous to think you could be a painter. Why do we believe them? I don't know. Lesson 77 says, I am entitled to miracles. That says, I'm not here to just get by. I'm here to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. I'm here to dance, to spread love, to give birth to the very best that's inside me. Those dysfunctional families everyone loves to go on and on about, we can heal them. The poverty, the homelessness, the greed that pervades our culture, we can change that. We have that kind of power, but we have forgotten. We've squandered our power on meaningless things. We've bartered it for security. We've wasted it by not trusting it. Miracles are my birthright, my destiny. Just like I can talk, clap, and drive to the nearest quick trip, I'm capable of performing miracles. This is a guarantee ensured in my creation, implicit in the laws of the universe. Now, every time I read that section from Pam's book, The Course in Miracles Experiment, I think I probably would change some of those angles or perspectives, because Pam's talking here about me performing miracles. And I don't think it's quite the way it happens. I think life itself is the miracle, and I am being lived, and that those things are happening in, through, as, and around me, not necessarily by me. So, there you have it. There's A Course in Miracles Experiment, Lesson 77. There's Day 77, Course in Miracles. And we have 42 minutes left to do some conversing, questioning. What's on your mind? How can we support you today? Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. If you call that number and press 1, we can have a conversation. And we can have a conversation about anything that's on your mind and anything that's been on the topic or the table for topics in the past 10 years on Mind Shifters Radio. We can talk about relationships. We can talk about any topic that Michael Ryce has talked about, or Jeannie's talked about, or I've talked about in the past 10 years. There are some pretty intense conversations going on in the second hour of Mind Shifter Radio yesterday and the day before. If you have comments or questions about any of that, feel free to give us a call, 563-999-3581, area code 541. You're in the air. Who do we have?
Hi, Dr. Tim. It's Julie from Oregon. I really appreciate your...
Julie, is this Julie who's in Ashland or no longer in Ashland?
No longer in Ashland, but nearby. I'm in Ashland in this moment, but I moved to the next town up. But I have a request. Well, there's 2 more towns between, so there's Talent and then Phoenix. I'm in Phoenix, Oregon, which is right next to Medford. Yeah. So, hi, and long time no speak. But I was reading The Course of Love, and I wanted to go over a section with you, but I don't have my book with me today, so I want to make an appointment with you. Maybe for tomorrow I'll be with my book. It's in the 3rd treatise. It's the one about the personal self. I think it's the 2nd treatise now, but the 1st chapter. It might be the 3rd treatise. I'm losing my memory in this moment. So anyway, it's just a couple of pages, and the last 2 paragraphs talk about Yeshua giving us a task that I think sounds like the work we do with Michael Ryce, only it's in different wording, but very definitely this work that needs to be done about emptying our unconscious from unconscious driving goals and all of that. And so I was wanting your take on it, because I think, only because I have the eyes to see and the ears to hear from having done Michael Ryce's work, I'm seeing and hearing that. And I'm just wondering if I might be reading more into it, and yet hoping that there is the same message. So you're talking about the 2nd treatise. Mm-hmm. And what's the title of the chapter? It's something about the personal self. It's 2 things. It's false representation and true representation. I think that's it.
All right, so it's the third treatise then, and it's chapter 1 is titled True and False Representation. Chapter 2 is titled The Purpose of Representation, and chapter 3 is The True Self. Where do you think you're going to find? Where do you think you're going to find the material that's most relevant? In the first chapter, True and False Representation?
First. That's all I've read so far. I'm in a study group with it, and but it's my second time through, and I just think this is the treatise actually that points out the work that's to be done, and a lot of what the book teaches also is unlearning and stopping learning the way that we have learned in the past, but none of that book really talks about the removal of anything unlike love and the forgiveness actual process, but I think there's a hint of it in that chapter, and I'd appreciate if you want to read it now, that's fine. I was going to call back tomorrow when I actually had my book, but I've been wanting to do this for about 2 weeks, so I just had to get in the queue with you.
Well, the Chapter 1 in the third treatise starts out with the title being True and False Representation. And it says, the personal self exists as the self you present to others. This is the only way in which the personal self will continue to exist following the completion and the integration of this course. Previously, the personal self that you presented to others represented an ego self who you believed yourself to be. Now the ego has been separated from the personal self so that you may claim your personal self again and present to others a true representation of who you are. So what this is saying is that if you've worked through the course of love, you've seen the false nature of your egoic self and how you've used it to try and pretend you are a certain way. And once you see through the false nature of it, it reminds me of a section that Michael Ryce says when he was reading the Course in Miracles. It just put him into a kind of a halfway between this world and some other world state that he was in for days. And it had to do with the idea that once you awaken to the truth, it kind of separates you from the world of the falseness and the ego and the conscious logical mind. And then you will return to that world of illusion and falseness, not because you think it's true, but you will return there to bring some sense of the truth you're now in touch with to those other beings of brilliance and light who may not have awakened to it. So you will bring your light of awareness and your understanding of the true nature of us as human beings into the world of illusion. This is what that first paragraph reminds me of. The idea is before beginning a course in love and or a course in miracles, we walk around thinking that what we've been trained to think and do and be from our parents and our culture is our true self. But the great spiritual teachings are trying to wake us up to the fact that we are so much more, and we're capable of tapping into and experiencing, not through our senses, not through sight and sound and touch and taste, but through our experience and our spiritual faculties of perception, true perception. We are capable of experiencing an entirely different level of actuality. And what this first paragraph of that third treatise says, chapter 1 of that third treatise says is, after you've seen the completely false nature of the ego self, who you believe yourself to be, now you've separated that false ego self from your personal self. And now you can present a personal self as a true representation of who you are, you can present that to others. So you can authentically be in the world but not of the world once you've become aware of how you are not just your ego self, and you are not just the image of the personal self that you show to others.
Right. So that's good news, because I think a lot of people reading the Course in Miracles get the idea that they're going to have to disappear the ego entirely and disappear themselves, and it feels so unknown to have the courage to do that. But this is saying that there is an integrated personal self aligned with the true self that can walk in the world. I like how you put that. And so, and it's a good chapter if you want to read it all, or just skip maybe to the last two paragraphs, because in there I hear him saying, because the rest of the chapter, a lot of the inner text goes into all kinds of examples about old self and new personal self, which is fine. It's really good. It's really well written.
Well, it says,
have you enjoyed this?
The last two paragraphs are to become a whole self, and that's capital S, whole self, with no parts hidden. A capital S self with, in truth, no parts. This is the task that I set before you, and I'm here to help you fulfill. I can do this because I accomplish this both in life and in all time and time beyond time, making you, along with me, the accomplished. As has already been said, the accomplishment of capital S self is the Christ mind. Your remembrance of the Christ self has established the ego self and allows us to begin the lessons of the personal self. We could not begin the curriculum here because you would have been unable. Without the lessons of this course, you would have been unable to distinguish the personal self from the ego self. There's a danger even now in focusing upon the lower S self of the body, as this lowercase s self has been so long bound to the ego self. Even with the ego once and finally vanquished or integrated properly, the patterns of the ego's thought system remain to be undone. This is the atonement. We work now to correct the errors of the past in the present, the only place where such work can be done. We work with what we have, a form fully able to represent the truth, and in so doing, we bring the truth to life and life to the truth. Now, a little bit earlier, Julie, you were saying something about how there doesn't seem to be anything in here about removing the false. And that's all this is about, is removing the false. Seeing false as the false. Seeing the truth as parading around as the false. And seeing the truth as the truth. That's what this is all about.
That's right. So there's still some undoing to do. And that's what Michael Ryce's process. Yeah, that
right,
getting the brain cells, a lot.
That the whole thing is undoing. You know, you talked earlier about how something about people being fearful that they're going to lose their whole self or dismantle, and that's the actuality. Right. There's the story about the man who was made of salt and he wanted to become one with the universe. And so the teacher said, "Okay, come over here and put your foot in the water." So the man who's made of salt goes over to the edge of the ocean and puts his foot in, and he pulls it out, and his toes are missing. And he goes, "What trickery are you up to?" And the master says, "Nothing. You wanted to be one with all it is. Walk in the ocean." And the man who's made of salt said, "No, it's destroying me. I want to be there in the all that is." and that's not going to happen. It reminds me of Guy Finley, who tells the story that his teacher, Vernon Howard, used to tell him, come on, Guy, you keep talking about who you want to get to heaven and you want to be enlightened. And his teacher, Vernon Howard, said to him, Guy, what kind of heaven would it be if you're there? It would be a hell, truth be told. If Tim Hayes right now walked into heaven, he would ruin it. Why? Because he's going to take all of his baggage. He's going to take all of his pain and fear and sadness about losing his ego and, all of his bad jokes about how he can't even grow hair. He's going to take all that stuff into heaven and pollute it. Mm-hmm. The essence is that the mind that conceptualizes these things is false. It's programming. It's reflex.
Mm-hmm.
The mind that tells us who we think we are is false. This is why there's so much depth of experience to be had if you engage in something like the reality management worksheet process or the Byron Katie work, because it has you questioning and giving up everything you think you know.
Mm-hmm.
And only when that's actually been done and questioned all the way to its root is there the possibility that something bigger, deeper, better, broader, beyond words, expansive can take its place in our experience.
Mm-hmm.
So
trusting.
there is that you are going to be demolished. You are going to be obliterated. You are going to be dismantled, top to bottom, inside out. Who you think you are is going to go missing, and that's a good thing. But my egoic mind can't even conceptualize that as being a good thing, which is why even in this book, The Course of Love, it says, if we had presented this first chapter of the third treatise in the beginning, it wouldn't make any sense to you, and or you would go running. So, here you are, Julie, encouraging us to, dive into this book at this third chapter of the first chapter of the third treatise, and it's really not going to be much use for the people who are just starting to do spiritual work, because it's gibberish and it's going to feel threatening, and the difference between the capital S self and the small s self isn't going to have any meaning besides, the mental gymnastics. But the only true meaning that has any value between the capital S self and the lowercase s self is an experience I have for which there are no words. And what this Course of Love is trying to tell you is, in order for these words that are typed out in this chapter to have any value, you have to have worked through the Course of Love, all of it, to get to that point. And by working through, we mean having an experience of your energetic system, of your thought process, of your physical body, of your spiritual experience, existence, that you haven't had before picking up A Course of Love and being with it, reading it, experiencing it. We are mostly trapped in what Michael Ryce would call the non-being mind. And one of the biggest traps of the non-being mind is, I'm going to figure it out. And what most of us do with a book like this is we get stuck in the I'm going to figure it out, or I'm going to memorize it so I can prove to other people how I know it better than they do. And then this powerful tool for transformation has become a weapon against myself if I use it that way. I will never enlighten anyone, and no one will ever enlighten me. Enlightenment is not a thing that happens to somebody. It's an in-the-moment awareness. It's not a degree that I earn and then it's mine. I love the way these different teachers who've had some glimpse at it talk about it. Are you enlightened? People ask them, are you enlightened? The really bright teachers say, how would I know? How would I know if I'm enlightened? What does that even mean? What value is it to you to find out if I'm enlightened or not? If somebody tells you I'm enlightened, does that mean you're going to follow what I say? Oh, that's a real trap for you. Because people who have reached that state of awareness understand everybody must come to that on their own. And it's about an experience. It's about a present moment experience. It's not about a statue you get at an award show.
Yeah. Well, thank you for reading it and sharing it.
I'm not sure that I answered any kind of a question you had about that, so I'll take a breath here and ask.
Okay.
What was your question? Why were you suggesting we bring that up?
Well, first of all, I do appreciate what was expressed through you. So it did answer any question I had because it went to where the question behind the question was, I suppose, I asked you to address this chapter because I respect you and how you answer questions. So I'm feeling good about it. I guess if you want me to define it a little bit, I could. I guess my concern was, it's maybe more of a statement of congruence between all that I've studied in my life, which I'm guided on my path to have more and more of these experiences you were speaking of. And so having come, I have a certain loyalty to Michael Ryce's teaching, a preference. I came from the Course in Miracles and then Michael Ryce, and then the Course of Love. That was my what do you call that? Consecutive order. There's another word. Chronological. Yeah. So I see everything that Yeshua has been teaching us and the worksheets that Michael Ryce came up, the reality management worksheet, to guide us always back to the truth of who we are. And this course, the Course of Love, is talking about a personal self, and as you put it, and I agree, is the one we walk in the world with. But we have the ability to build the brain cells to walk as the truth of who we are in the world. And I just love that it's being furthered in this Course of Love book. And it's not about time even, really. It's about, like sequence, or when it's just when we're ready to hear, we're ripe for that lesson, that opening. And I'm happy to see the integration of these bodies of work. And I brought it to you because you do integrate so many bodies of work. I do appreciate that about your hour on the show. So I just thought it's not hidden, but you have to have the eyes to see in those last two paragraphs. You have to have maybe heard it before a little bit here and there.
All right. Well, I would. I thank you for those comments. I would share with you that the huge red flashing lights, screaming warning sirens go off in my head when I hear you say that you have a loyalty to anybody's work.
I know. I knew that would happen. Sorry. I know.
No need to apologize. I'm just sharing with you that, that is as big a trap as any on the planet. And you know, if you think your guru is enlightened, you are in danger.
Well, let me just say the channel that I've been able to develop in myself to be the one who receives it directly. Yeah. I've just, you know,
loyalty to anything, loyalty to a school of thought, loyalty to a person, loyalty to a procedure, loyalty to a belief is a trap.
Yeah.
So just be aware that, and some would say, and I'm not here to debate that with them, but some would say it's a necessary step as I move from, you know, the complete enslavement of my mental emotional conditioning and my family pattern. It's necessary that I have a guru, or I have a religion, or I have a... Some would say that's a necessary step, and they will acknowledge that it's a step or a tool that I'll eventually have to put down to move forward. But just thought I'd highlight that, because my, you know, if you're into superhero movies, my spidey senses were tingling. Somebody writes in the chat room, if you think your guru is enlightened, ask their partner.
No,
I like the way
I've never.
One of the teachers used to say. One of my favorite teachers used to say in a book I read of his, I'm so tired of these people telling me that their guru is enlightened. He said, now I tell people, if you want to demonstrate to yourself or to me that your guru is enlightened, just let's book it a week with us living at their parents' house, and we'll find out who's enlightened quick enough.
Okay. Well, I sometimes need to watch my words, because I have no, you know, I do not I keep from limiting myself. I just use the tools, and I've gotten a lot of value from working with Michael Ryce's tools, because I was ready for them, and I've stayed with them. And it is my own inner experience with truth as I use the tools. And I can hear the tools in Byron Katie. I can hear the tools in Guy Finley. I've gone to see him, you know, because I'm local to him in Oregon. And so it's everywhere. To me, there are capsules of truth everywhere, in every book, on every shelf, that they can be seen when you have eyes to see and ears to hear. And so I'm grateful for what has led me to seeing and hearing the same truth as Michael Ryce teaches in the paragraphs of the Course of Love. And my main difficulty, I guess, my own truth, why I called this that I have a hard time conveying to people in the Course in Miracle and in the Course of Love of how valuable the work is of Michael Ryce and Yeshua through Michael Ryce, and what I've arrived at in my processing those upsets in myself and difficulties and challenges is that really I don't need to worry about and be concerned about other people's work. Everybody goes at their own pace, at their own level. I'm not even seeking enlightenment. I'm just seeking, I love revelations, and I love things clearing up in my life, and I love the forgiveness as taught, you know, as a process and as the way Yeshua did speak it to his disciples and the people of his time. And so I'm just thriving on it and getting somewhere in my life. And I don't call it enlightenment, except I feel wonderful when I do this. And you've heard me feel awful. You've seen me and witnessed me to not using the tools, not doing the work. You know, so
that's the best way to teach it, is to just use the tools and have it improve your life, and then that's the modeling that is the only truly effective teaching. The Way of Mastery will tell you over and over again, teach only love. How do you do that? You exist as that energy. You exemplify being in the world, understanding your true nature and living from that.
Yes.
So if you're having a hard time sharing with people how valuable these tools are, all that means is do some more of your own work. Because the more you do your work and you show up as this active presence of love that Dr. Ryce talks about, that's all the teaching that's necessary.
Yeah, thank you. And that's just what I keep surrendering to and arriving at, is just do my own work. And so my preference is, the way I do my work best is how I've been doing it with Michael Ryce so far. But I also acknowledge it doesn't have to be only that. I have flexibility and awareness because it comes at me 100% of the time. In the present moment, I can see the work and the truth everywhere. Why would I limit myself? So thank you for the red flag. I hope it was helpful, or to others also.
Don't worry about that. You. As long as it was useful for you, that's all that matters.
Okay.
All right.
By the way,
thank you for the call.
Okay, hold on one second. I'll let you. But I love to hear your laugh, and I love the other day, maybe a month ago, when you mentioned with Susan, your old chuckles and laughter thing, because you guys were really fun when you were doing that. I loved that, and just wanted to tell you. So
yeah, that originally came up with Michelle Pichet. So that was that was the origin of that, was when Michelle was struggling, and then she made a breakthrough and started laughing. And so we were talking about how valuable it is to be able to see that we just take ourselves way too seriously in all this work in our lives. And, all right, so thank you for the call. Somebody else with a hand up, I will let them chime in. Thank you, Julie. And we have the number 484. Is this Ellen?
Yes, it is. Hi, Dr. Tim.
Welcome, Ellen. How can we support you today?
Well,
what are your thoughts?
It just amazes me how life synchronizes everything, and everything that you were talking about just, synchronized with what I was experiencing this morning. I was reading some more of Byron Katie, and, I've studied many different teachings, and they all say we are not this personal self. And so I believe that, but whether or not I experience it is a real thing. So I was inspired to use Byron Katie's 4 questions on that very issue. That thought that I am this personal character who goes by the name of Ellen. And the first couple of questions are pretty easy because, of course, I can't know that that's true. But when I got to the one that says, how would I feel without that thought, then I had the experience of such a relief, such a burden being lifted off of me, and I knew, because I had the experience, I had like an awakening experience many years ago, and one of the things that was so clear to me through that experience is that the truth always sets you free, or always sets to me, the truth always sets me free. And so it became so simple that, well, how do I know if something's true? Is it binding me in some way, or is it setting me free? And so when I asked myself, the question about who would I be without that thought, and I felt that freedom come in, then there it is. Okay, so now I know it's not just me believing what someone else is telling me through all these teachings. Now I know for myself, because I had that experience of how I feel without that thought. And so I just thought it was pretty amazing how it's exactly what you were talking about today. And so that is, I just wanted to share that, and that, that's one of my ways of how do we know what is true. Well, how did it make me feel? Does it make me feel like I've got this burden? Because having this personal self that that you need to take care of and maintain and worry about whether or not people like or don't like, and I mean letting go of that, all of that is just, it's amazingly freeing. It's just amazing. And so I know it's not true.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of energy that we expend, mental, emotional energy that we expend maintaining all of that and or questioning all of that and or refuting all of those thoughts about self and others and who's right and wrong and is this fair and should this happen, and it's tremendous energy expenditure. So of course most of us are going to feel much better when we stop doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I just saw that it really, nothing that this character does or doesn't do can hurt me nor harm me. I mean, it just, I'm just getting a lot of benefit from Byron Katie right now, going back and reading her work and applying those questions.
Glad to hear it. It is it's a delight for all of us when any one of us starts to see through the false nature of our belief systems, because it is that liberation, that is that unburdening of that higher self that most people try to talk about with a capital S self. It's like you said, it's just amazing. What if I'm not trapped in these negative thoughts? Then what? What if I don't spend the entire day beating myself up over something I did that I can clearly see wasn't in my best interest, but if I don't have a time machine and I can't go back to 10 minutes ago or 10 years ago, what is the benefit of me pouring mind energy into the oh darn, oh I wish, or oh I regret? Zero.
Right. I just see that, I mean, everything is just happening, and I really can't take blame or credit for any of it. I mean, that's how I feel at this point. I just don't think it's possible to say that I am the one responsible for what this character has done or is going to do, and that to me just is so freeing. I can just see that there's really nothing to regret, nothing to feel guilty about, nothing to worry about. If I take that, if I don't take all that on.
Right, and it frees me up to just get into, appreciate the flow of creation, the flow of life. And if I have that part of my mind that still wants to ask, well, is this good or is this bad? Is this necessary? Byron Katie's observation is, I can know it's necessary because it's happened.
Mm-hmm.
And, it had to happen because it happened. And do I need it? Well, do I have it? Then I need it. If I don't have it, I don't need it. How can I know that I don't need to see? Well, because if my eyesight's going, I don't need it. How can I know that it's okay that somebody broke into my house and stole my prized possession? Well, because they did. That's how I know it's okay. Life is going to unfold in its way, and I don't get to create that. I do, however, whether I realize it or not, I create my experience of it.
Exactly.
I am constantly creating my experience of life by how I choose to interpret and respond to the events that unfold around me. That's one of the missing pieces that Michael Ryce, talks about in various ways and says, this has been hidden from us, that we are creators. This is the big tragedy that's been done to us, etc. He talks about it in various ways. But the essence of it is, if I've never been taught that my mind is a creative force, then I don't know. But once I've been shown that, and once I've been enlightened to the actuality that how I choose to interpret and respond to events is far more important than the events themselves, now I've got a very powerful tool for creating my experience of life. And I can either choose to use it actively and construct a healthier, happier, more joy-filled life, or not. And it's going to be okay either way, because life is just going to keep unfolding.
Mm-hmm. I also wanted to recommend the book. I don't know if there's time, but it's called The Secret of Light. It's by Walter Russell, who is no longer with us. But I have found his work absolutely amazing because he got all these downloads from God. The way he explained it, like every 7 years, he'd go out into the wilderness for 3 days and get all these downloads, and he was shown exactly how creation works, how the universe works, and he said it all out in this book, The Secret of Light. Just the scientists have it all wrong, and this is the way it is. He has a whole new periodic table of elements and everything. There's a lot of this that I don't understand because I'm not a scientist. But there's a lot of it that I found so beneficial in understanding, he really gets into how our senses deceive us and explains exactly how that works. And there's just a lot of really interesting information in this book that I thought you might appreciate.
Okay. I will look into it. The Secret of Light.
Yes.
All right.
You'll enjoy it.
I appreciate the call as always. We're down to the last couple of minutes. And Jeannie Ryce is here ready to take over, so I will mute you, Ellen. Thank you for your call, comments, and questions, as always. I'll remind us all that we come from love. We're made of this stuff we call love. We actually are the energy of love expressing in form, and everything else is false. Welcome, Jeannie Ryce.
Thank you, Dr. Tim. I came in a little late, but what I heard was good.
Yeah, you just can't sleep. You can't miss a single bit of any show. There's so much going on.
I know. I know.
Julie from Oregon, who's no longer in Ashland, and we heard about Course of Love, and we heard from Ellen, and so have a wonderful show, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Tim.